Hello, friends and fellow seekers. Welcome back to the Law of One Spiritual Advice podcast. My name is Elle, and today I would like to talk about something that I think is important, which is sort of this silent horror that we all live in, being subject to the news and all of the negative things that seem to be on this earth, and all of the doom and the hopelessness that is pushed our way in terms of news and memes and social media and all of that stuff. It is really easy to be what they call a doomer and get lost in that hopelessness. But what I would like to share with you today is how there are reasons to be hopeful, and that we should kind of remain positive in our seeking and know that this doom being pushed our way is in fact a purposeful thing that is to try to keep us down. And you're not alone in thinking that all of these situations that you see in your perception are very frightening and reasons to be concerned. And that's probably just because you're a fairly good-hearted person and you see these things out there and they alarm you. And so there's nothing wrong with you. I would like to share with you some things that that even though I am a realist and I like to expose a lot of negative seeming things, in my heart I still like to remain positive and hold light and space for those positive things to manifest and not to fall into a hopeless despair. So before I read you a quote, if you could maybe just give the podcast a like, that definitely helps this get seen by more people. The last few times I asked you guys, you all did it, and I really appreciate it, so thank you so much. It helps it get out there. And so I have two quotes lined up for today, and they talk about this as quiet horror. I was remembering it in my head as silent horror for some reason. It's very basically the same thing. So there's this quote in the Law of One material, and the questioner asks in session 17.23, they say, "Can you tell me why the Earth will be fourth density positive instead of fourth density negative after the cycle is complete, since it seems that there is a greater negative population?" And Ra answers, "I am Ra. The Earth seems to be negative. That is due to the quiet, shall we say, horror, which is the common distortion which those good or positively oriented entities have towards the occurrences which are of your space-time present. However, those oriented and harvestable in the ways of service to others greatly outnumber those whose orientation towards service to self has become that of the harvestable quality." End of quote. And so maybe you're listening to this and you don't know the Law of One too much, because I do plan on sharing this with some sort of non-Law of One folks, and you might be saying, what the heck is this? So, I'll just quickly lay it out for you here. We're in the third density right now, and our planet is currently in a transition period from the third to the fourth density. And it is noted in this material that the Earth will ascend, if you will, into the fourth density positive. As, each person ascends spiritually, so does the Earth, and you can either ascend into the negative path of seeking or the positive path of seeking. So it is my understanding that the Earth will be a fourth density positive planet, in that you could consider its future incarnation is one of the fourth density positive, where it's going to learn the lessons of love and understanding, which are the lessons of fourth density. It's love and understanding, because it's the same with like fourth density, kind of like the fourth chakra where your heart is. Of course, we're going to be dealing with love and understanding, because heart is the fourth chakra and is the fourth density, as there's those commonalities between the chakras and the densities. And so this one little quote here does lay out quite a number of things, which is that, like the questioner asks at the very beginning, there seems to be a greater negative population. Isn't that true? And Ra states, no, actually, it's basically not true. Most of the people on Earth, this is my speaking, just from my understanding of reading the Law of One and my perceptions, is that actually most people are kind of in the middle. They're in what they would call the sinkhole of indifference. They haven't polarized towards the positive or the negative. They're kind of going to just fall into this sinkhole of repetition, meaning that it's like, they're in the third grade and they're sort of failed the third grade, and they're going to go and repeat the third grade on another planet, because this planet will be ascending to the fourth density positive, and only those of the third density who are graduating into fourth density positive will remain with the planet. And then there's going to be the third density negative entities who are ascending. They will move on to a fourth density negative planet, and then there's the third density repeaters will go to another planet, but then the fourth density positive will stay with this planet and grow and learn as they will with the fourth density positive planet. So highlighting here, they say, however, those oriented and harvestable, meaning those who are going to be graduating into the ways of service to others, which is another way of saying positive, greatly outnumber those whose orientation towards service to self has become that of harvestable quality, of graduation quality, let's say. And this makes a lot of sense to me, okay? Because the negative entities, how they graduate from this third density is through control. They control all catalysts, they control all their experience to a masterful degree where they basically control not only themselves and others, but, obviously others. They're going to then be sort of enslaving others, or at least tricking them to a way which leads to maximum control for themselves. And so the way that I see that is like, the pyramid, the sort of Illuminati type pyramid situation with the eye on the top. I see that as them trying to be this tiny minority of people at the top who then are masterful controllers and try to trick and manipulate all of us below. And so that to me is why the service to others people actually outnumber the service to self people. However, because society and the news and all of these things that are control mechanisms in our lives are controlled by those negative entities, those negative elite, it is in their best interest that they try to make you hopeless and try to make you give up and not understand that there are more of us on the positive path who could greatly outnumber them. Because, right, if we all knew our true power and that we could come together as a community and outpower these negative elite, that would be a huge blow to their power. So it's in their best self-interest that they try to confuse us, and through Psyops and through the news, that they try to tell us that it's all hopeless, just give up, just welcome your enslavement, because that's all you can do, and that's like I say, that's in their best interest, because that's how they control us. So it is good to know that if you disconnect from the news and a lot of those types of things, which are control mechanisms, when social media type things, who are trying to convince us of this hopelessness and this giving up and this nihilism, that there is reasons to be hopeful. And I've heard in other channeled material from the LL Research group, such as Quo, that you would want to then, disconnect from the news. The news is being fed to you in a certain perception, in a certain way. You're better to look to community. If you look at community, meaning like you're something local within you, like your friends and your family, and even just the general community, you try to be a part of it, you do see that love is strong and service to others is the flavor of the day. And it's not just a bunch of negative, evil people out there and corporations trying to enslave all of us. There is a lot of reasons to be hopeful. If you talk to most people in your local community, and you'll find that they're a loving people. They want to serve others, and the love grows within their heart, and that is reasons to be hopeful. And that's why you want to, with the third chakra, the one of communal energy, of community, you can be a part of that community, which would give you a lot of hope, which will give you that energy to then enter into the heart, into the fourth chakra, and basically like marking you for like harvestable quality is the way that they might put it, right? You need to have the energy to enter the heart. Whereas if you're just listening to the news and all of this negative doomer stuff, you may find it hard to make it into your heart, because you fall for this hopelessness and this nihilism, which we would like to avoid. And so what I like to think of is that a lot of us have this distorted perception where the news tries to gaslight you into thinking that it's best that you just give up your power and give up your seeking and give up because there's nothing else but just hopelessness, and like the world's ending, and all these climate stuff is a catastrophe, and there's just all these reasons to be negative. But if you instead try to disconnect from that, like in a realistic way, I don't want you to completely disconnect from reality, but you would want to become more in tune with the actual reality, which is that if you didn't have the news at your fingertips through this phone constantly, how negative would you think the earth really is? Like if you just look outside your house or wherever you're at, right, and just deal with your general community that's in front of you, would you be that nihilistic? Would you be that hopeless? I think not. I think you would probably find a lot more reasons to think in the positive and to, have that hope within your heart and have that energy to enter the heart and enter into service to others and, serve your community, because that is the nature of the heart chakra, and that is the nature of most people here. They say service to others entities greatly outnumber those whose orientation towards service to self has become that of harvestable quality. So it's mostly a distorted perception is what I feel. We disconnect from the news and the control mechanisms that would have us seek in a certain way and connect with community. And I think that that's how we sort of stay positive and stay on the positive path and have that energy, like I say, to enter the heart. Which leads me to one more quote, which I have, which is of faulty authority or false authority. And this goes over how an entity can be given an incorrect map, which, like I stated before, is sort of what the news is trying to give to you, is an incorrect map of our circumstances and have you fall into nihilism, which is just like, I don't care about anything. What's the point? Right? And that can be a possibility, and it happens. And that's why there's a lot of, as I said before, third density repeaters. They don't seek within themselves. They just seek outside of themselves, and they are dictated and told what to believe, and therefore, they can become hopelessly lost, and it sucks. But there's no mistakes. There's surprises. So let me read you this answer to section 69.17 in the Law of One. Ross states, "We may note the situation where an entity gets a roadmap which is poorly marked and in fact quite incorrect. The entity sets out to its destination. It wishes only to reach that point of destination, but, becoming confused by the faulty authority and not knowing the territory through which it drives, it becomes hopelessly lost. Free will does not mean that there will be no circumstances when calculations will be Ari. This is so in all aspects of life experience. Although there are no mistakes, there are surprises." End of quote. Right, so if we're just listening to the news and the faulty authority, to me, that's like getting a roadmap which is poorly marked and in fact quite incorrect. The entity sets out to its destination. So the entity sets out to polarize towards the positive, to enter into the heart chakra, to enter into service to others. That's the reason we're here in this third density, is to make the choice of how to serve. Shall we serve others, or shall we serve the self exclusively like the negative elite do? And so we set out to our destination to enter the heart, and it wishes only to reach the point of destination, so we wish to only reach the point of the heart, but becoming confused by the faulty authority and not knowing the territory through which we drive, we become hopelessly lost. And that is what I'm trying to explain to you here, is that it's so easy to be confused by the faulty authority, which would like to convince us that there's just all the reasons to give up, all the reasons to enslave ourselves, to not think for ourselves, to not use your faculties of logic and intuition and have those two things meld together to guide you forward, and instead just be told by some faulty authority how to think, how to be, and what to push towards. And it's easy to become hopelessly lost. It's easy to become nihilistic. It's easy to give up. And that's what I wish you to avoid, my friends. I want you to know that the rules of this game is of polarization, which is of service to others or service to self. And as you attempt to serve others, it's noted in some other quo material that if you align your intent to serve others, you will serve beyond your wildest dreams. In service to others, when you attempt to, assist yourself and love yourself and to love others and just to be a kind and generous being, in that you will find that the universe gives back. It shows you that, yeah, this is something that contains power. It's something that is meaningful. It is going to lead you to a lot of roads which you thought maybe didn't exist. And that's the whole point, is that we want you to have a good map. I want you to have a map that leads to your heart. And I know that there's a lot of people and reasons out there to give up and to not attempt to serve. And, as you try to open your heart and serve others, there's going to be some butthead out there who stomps on your heart. But that is beyond, who cares about that? You need to keep pushing on. The more more that you enter into freely give, freely receive, into serving others, into loving yourself and loving yourself honestly and truly, and becoming to know your shadow side so that you can love it, so that you can better love the shadow in others, the more that you will see the magic of life appear to you. And to me, that is, like I said, setting your intention to serve, and you will become more powerful in your seeking, and you will see the synchronicities start to align. You will see things start to make sense. You will see yourself entering your heart, and you'll have those lovely feelings about when you serve others, about how it comes back and makes yourself feel good, and that service to others is, in fact, how you solve the paradox of service to self. It's that when you serve others, it also serves yourself, and that, then nobody needs to be served at the expense of something else. It's that in service to others, that's how you solve that paradox. It's that right? Like I said, when you love other people, it helps you love yourself, right? When you're feeling down, lift somebody else up. It will in turn lift you up in return. It's just the beauty of the entering the heart and the heart chakra and service to others. And like I've heard in other material that, the third density moving into the fourth density is already kind of here in a way. We're in a transition period, which means that the energy already exists for this fourth density positive service to others entering that heart. The more that you do try to enter the heart and set your intention to serve, the more that you are reinforcing energy that already exists here. And like a carrier wave, you shall resonate with that service to others, and it should just become a little bit easier each time you do it. At first, there will be resistance, and that is fine and normal, especially as you deal with your shadow and the ego part of yourself. And it's not that you want to kill your ego, you need to transform it into something that is powerful in that it serves yourself and serves others. And that's the beauty of why we are here, and that's the beauty of this dimension and this third density and moving into fourth. We are powerful beings, and that is what I want you to know. And it says here, free will does not mean that there will be no circumstances when calculations will be Ari. In other words, when things kind of go wrong. And this is so in all aspects of life experience. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to trip. We're going to fall. We're going to, assume the wrong intent in others. We're going to think that we're serving sometimes when in fact we're doing something out of selfish reasons. And that is fine, because that is how you learn. You learn by setting your intent, going out there, trying to manifest things as you see fit, and when they comes back and it gives you the feedback that no, you kind of screwed up, that's fine, because you wouldn't have learned if you didn't at least try. And so, my friends, I just want you to know that there are reasons to be hopeful. There is communities out there and people, and most people on earth, who are loving service to others, entities. We are all out here trying our best, and the more that we don't give up and you don't give up, the more there are of us who are embracing these energies, the easier it is for the earth to make that transition into the fourth density positive. And so, right, let us all join together, hold hands together, and walk towards the sun, as it is stated in this material. It is through companionship and service to others and love that things will start to make more sense. And if it doesn't make sense, that's okay. There are no mistakes. There are surprises. Is just purify your intent to serve, purify your ability to try to love yourself in a more pure manner. The more that you attempt to love yourself in a pure manner, the easier you will find in accepting and loving other people as well. These are all the things in my head that are going on constantly that I try to get across in these types of podcasts, and that is what I am here to do. So don't get lost and confused with all the psyops out there who are trying to pit us one against the other. I do sometimes, think that I kind of fall for that. I like to think that I'm somewhat of a realist, where I do like to expose corruption and expose those types of things. And I worry sometimes that other people get too weighed down on the heaviness of that, and they become hopeless and nihilist. And I'm sorry if I've ever contributed to that with you. That is not my intention. I really more so feel that in exposing corruption, that we can, sort of realize and disconnect from that service to self mentality, and realize that these are just psyops to make us feel a certain way, to make us feel negative and hopeless. And then remind everyone that we are here for each other, and that, beyond this negative elite, we are here to love each other and to hold each other and, give big hugs. And so that's what I would like to communicate to you today. Do not give up, my friends. Seek to serve, and you shall serve beyond your wildest dreams. Other than that, I thank you for your time and listening to this today. If you appreciate the podcast, once again, just please give it a like, leave me a comment. I read all the comments. Maybe share this around with some friends who are feeling a little bit hopeless. Try to lift them up a little bit. And with that, you can also support my efforts here at theoneinfinitecreator.com. And just scroll down to the support section. I would really appreciate it if you had the abundance to share. You could jump on my Patreon, shoot me a one-time PayPal or a recurring one. All of that does help and assist me in continuing on with the longevity of this podcast, and even lifting me up sometimes when I'm feeling a little bit down and doubting myself about what I'm doing with this podcast, because I like to do it in a freely give, freely receive manner. And so this is the way that I see fit in sharing all of this, is through asking you to freely join, and you may if you wish. And so thank you, everyone. I love you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Take care.